40% chance.
Is it
40% chance based on 8 anomalies that it shows of being the technological object that could be a threat to humanity.
What I saw as a remote viewer was a mothership with occupants on board, and they were mostly Draco reptilian occupants, 5 million Draco reptilian soldiers inside.
We need clarity, Dr. Greer. Can you please provide some clarity on what you think 3I Atlas is or what you're hearing?
Remember, any interplanetary civilization is not going to be drifting along at that speed. It isn't going to happen. They're going to be going like teleportation, be going from point A to B like this. Of course, the internet hysteria and Avi Loeb, which is a sort of a psyop. So my understanding of the cell that Avi Loeb is part of is a very prominent disinformation, gaslighting operation.
The lie is coming. All indications is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
40%.
Is it an alien ship, a comet? Scientists and researchers are left puzzled.
First contact has happened, but it's not what you think. CERN transmitted a signal to an interstellar object, 3I Atlas, and it responded in 9 minutes.
Their collider to open up a portal to communicate with extraterrestrial beings. Well, and one of them are the occupants from 3I Atlas.
That's a round trip faster than light, and it's just the start of the mystery. The return signal wasn't a greeting, it was a complex mathematical proof. A proof for what, you ask? A technology that would make our most advanced physics look like child's play. What many overlooked is that the message didn't just say, "We are here," it told us where they are going next, and it might be closer than you think. Why 9 minutes is a terrifying number. The team settled in for a long, tense wait. Coffee was brewed and the low hum of the machinery filled the control room. Based on the comet's position, over 80 million miles away at that moment, the laws of physics were crystal clear. A round trip for a radio signal traveling at the speed of light should take about 15 minutes each way. 30 minutes total, give or take a few seconds. They expected at best a faint, degraded echo of their own signal half an hour later. Most believed they would get nothing at all, but that's not what happened. Exactly 9 minutes and 22 seconds after their transmission cut off, the receivers lit up with a jolt. It was a clean, powerful, and unbelievably complex signal coming directly from the trajectory of 3E Atlas. The control room was plunged into a stunned silence. A 9-minute reply was impossible. It violated Einstein's theory of relativity, the absolute speed limit of the universe. It was like receiving a letter in the mail from someone on the other side of the planet just 9 minutes after you sent yours. It simply could not happen. The initial shock gave way to frantic energy as alarms blared, not from an error, but from a signal strength so high it was off the charts. Every sensor was checked, every diagnostic was run. There was no error. The signal was real. The source was locked on 3I Atlas. And the message itself? It was pure mathematics, but on a scale that dwarfed their simple prime number sequence. The object hadn't just said hello back. It had replied with a complex data stream that started with a sequence defining the fine structure constant, a fundamental constant of physics, to a degree of precision hundreds of times greater than humanity had ever calculated. It was a display of knowledge so advanced it was like a caveman receiving a schematic for a smartphone. The thing nobody tells you is that this immediate, impossible reply wasn't a greeting. It was a statement of superiority. 3I Atlas, or whatever was controlling it, hadn't just heard the whisper, it had answered with a roar. The return numbers were more than just a physics lesson.
Is it an alien ship?
You'll never.
3I Atlas passed Mars yesterday, exactly when an ancient Sumerian map said it would. At 4 a.m. UTC, 3I Atlas made its closest approach to any planet so far in our solar system, 18 million miles from Mars. Multiple space agencies, including NASA and the European Space Agency, are coordinating observations using various spacecraft and orbiters around Mars. They want to know where it's going next, and if its course has changed further. 3,000 years ago, the Sumerians carved a star chart showing a dark object from Sagittarius brushing past Mars and turning inward. Many experts agree that the ancient map is a signal left by the gods, so humans would know when to look up. and when to expect the god's return. Yesterday, that same map was at the forefront of every astrological conversation around the world. Not only did the Sumerians perfectly chart the skies, but they did so knowing where the planets and stars would align today. How is this possible?
40% chance based.
Alright, Shalom. I'm the brother Tasiyat coming back with another video. But before I start off, I would like to give all praises and the highest honor to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Kakodash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akiyam across this world, who are preaching His word in truth and sincerity. And Shalom to the few sincere brothers and sisters out there who are also listening, and may the election be upon your households. Khan Shalom. So, today I want to make a video about this 3-eye atlas, because there's a lot of things, information out there, people speculating what it could be, etc. Scientists, discovering some things on it. And recently I saw a post on Instagram that they actually found that there's life on this 3-eye atlas, and it looks like a chariot, man, to be honest. What is a chariot? That is a vehicle of angels. Okay, the angels of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, they have chariots as vehicles. All right, so there was a lot of information. There's a lot of information out there on this. Just naming a few things. It also says here, where is it? Interstellar comet. So with Science Alert, it says interstellar comet 3-eye atlas blue shine is surprising astronomers. They said when the 3-eye atlas was closing in on the sun, getting closer to the sun, it turned blue. Okay, so this might be something that we are gonna see in the happening in very soon. Okay, now, like the guy said in the video, there's no way an interplanetary civilization is gonna travel like this, because if you think about it, okay, 3-eye atlas is flying so fast, no thing from flesh and blood would be able to survive that speed, man. Okay, it's crazy, man. How fast that thing flies. So let's look it up. How fast? I believe it was 130,000 kilometers per hour. They said. You see, Comet Atlas is moving at a speed of over 130,000 miles per hour, or 210,000 kilometers per hour, as it travels through the solar system. This is the highest speed ever recorded for an object visiting our solar system. And its velocity, so its speed, is increasing as it gets closer to the sun due to the sun's gravity. Okay? So over 130,000 miles per hour, or roughly 61 kilometers per second. That is crazy. The comet is following a hyperbolic path, which means it will not be gravitationally bound to the sun and will continue its journey into interstellar space. Acceleration. Its speed is increasing as it approaches the sun. Origin. It is an interstellar object, meaning it originated from outside our solar system. Current status. As of late October 2025, the comet passed Mars and was near its closest point to the sun, making it invisible from Earth. Now, we'll see what happens with this 3-eye atlas. So like the guy explained in the video, no interplanetary civilization is going to move that fast, because nobody's going to be able to survive that speed, man. If you are already in a car that is driving really fast, right? You're already flying to the back of the car seat. Okay? So how much more, like this video here, how much more, look at their faces. Look at their faces. Wait. Let me see. Yeah. So this is what happens to your face with a lot of G-force, okay? So how much more the 3i8 Atlas that is moving that fast, man? That's also why on chariots, they move so fast, that it's impossible for somebody with flesh and blood to survive the chariot ride, basically, because it moves fast and then it stops. At the same split second, it stops and it moves another direction, No more people will die, man. So those are the vehicles of angels, because angels are not, angels are spirits, They can handle that. Okay? So we can read this in the book of Psalms 104, verse 3. Who laid the beams of his chambers in the waters. This is speaking about Yahweh Bashem Yashai. Who maketh the clouds his chariot. Okay, so a cloud is a chariot. A chariot is a vehicle, okay? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Who maketh his angels spirits. You see? So his angels are spirits. Okay, his ministers a flame of fire. So of course a spirit can survive a chariot ride, like that, with so much G-force. Okay? So also you see here a cloud is a chariot. Now Yahweh Shai is gonna return with the clouds of heaven. Speaking about the chariots with the angels, so-called Ufo'S, to save the elect. Okay? So, let me see here. Let me go to the book of Luke. Remember, a cloud is a chariot, a vehicle. Okay? Luke 21, verse 27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud. Okay, what is a cloud? A chariot, a big fathership, with power and great glory. And a 3i8 Atlas is very big, so it might as well, be a very big chariot. Okay, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads. Okay, for your redemption draweth nigh. That's why we have to look up. Our redemption draws nigh. Okay, the chariots are in the sky when you look up. They are there to save the elect and to basically blast the wicked people to powder. So I'm thinking about a scripture, but I forgot which one it was. So let me continue on here. How much G-force does a UFO have? It says the G-force of a UFO is not definitely known, as their capabilities are not scientifically proven, but some analysis of alleged UFO incidents suggest that they can exert extremely high G-forces, potentially ranging from tens to thousands of G-force, far exceeding human limits. Okay? For example, calculations for the Nimitz incident suggest a potential 2,250 G-force based on certain assumptions, while other estimated cases show accelerations like 1700 Gs and 5370 Gs. Okay, so this is a lot of G-force, man. And if something is moving that fast and just stops in the same second and then speeds up in the same second again, no flesh is surviving that, man. Okay, so like I showed earlier, this is what happens to you when you are in something that is going really fast, right? But when you go into a chariot, you best believe that your body just blows apart or something, I don't know. Okay, look at the number, man. It says here G 7.61. That is nowhere close to the number that we read here. Where it says how you say that? Where it says it could be tens of thousands, thousands of G-force. If that already happens to your face with 8 something G-force, let alone in something that is having so much force, man, you can never survive that, So we definitely know that it ain't human, but we know the scriptures, man, and we know eventually that Yahushua is gonna return in a big fathership, so to say. And that was the scripture that I wanted to pull, actually. Okay, we can read it in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13. Let me start from verse 1 until verse 7. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld," so he had a vision, okay? "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." That man is Yahushua. Okay, the thousands of heaven are the angels. Okay, he's coming with the angels, like we just read. "And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice." So what voice is gonna burn you? It's speaking about the laser beam coming out of the chariot opening. Okay, the opening of a so-called UFO chariot looks like a mouth, right? And when that mouth opens and speaks, it blasts fire, a beam. You see? It looks like a mouth because it's an opening. Okay? So this is speaking about a laser beam from a chariot, okay? You see? Concentrated fire. It says, "And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice," you see? "Like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire." Okay, when fire hits, it's really destructive. Okay? "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of heaven." So the 4 winds of heaven are north, east, south, west. Okay? So a multitude of men out of number, meaning you cannot count how many people there were. Okay? To subdue the men that came out of the sea. So they came to overthrow Yahushua. That's what these people think that they can do. Okay? Or plan to do. Okay, like a man said, man, when there is, a threat coming from outer space, how fast countries would set aside the differences and to fight alongside against the outer space threat, because they know it's coming, man. Okay, Yahushua is returning. Like the book of Acts chapter 1 says, if I'm correct, he went away with the chariot and he comes back with the chariot. Okay? Let me read it real quick here. Acts 1, so everything that is written in red is what Yahushua says. So he was speaking here, and now in verse 9 it says, "And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight." Remember what a cloud is? A chariot. "And while they looked steadfastly toward the heaven as he went up," so the cloud was basically beaming him up like a tractor beam, like what you see in movies when people are so-called being abducted. That is actually when you are being saved by the ship. So, so Yahushua is being beamed up into the chariot. "Behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel." These were angels, okay? "Which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahushua," so they was acting, staring into heaven like, yo, what's happening, "This same Yahushua," because his real name is not Jesus. That's not his real name. His real name is Yahushua, a Hebrew name. Okay, Paleo-Hebrew, which means he savior, he deliverer. Yah means he, Yahushua means deliverer, savior. Okay, and the name of God is not Jehovah or Yahweh, it's Yahweh. He exists. That is what his name means. He, Yah in the Hebrew is he, and Hawa means exist. Okay, we say Yahweh in the name of Yahushua. So in the correct Paleo-Hebrew, we say Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua. And that is the name you should call upon to be saved. And that is the name you should pray towards, okay? Which is So it says here, the same Yahushai which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So he went up into a cloud, so he's gonna come back with what? A cloud, which is a big chariot. Okay? Revelation 1:7, behold, he cometh with clouds. Yahushua is gonna come with a lot of chariots, angels, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. Everybody got to see them, but also the people that pierced him when he was being crucified. Okay, showing you that they are back on this planet Earth again. Okay, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Aman. Wail means not normal crying. Okay, they're gonna be terrified. They're gonna be screaming. You know, that's how afraid and sorrowful they're gonna be when they see Yahushua return. So 2 Ezra 3:6-7. It says, verse 6, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. So since when do you dig out a mountain and fly upon a mountain? It's speaking about a chariot that was so big it looked like a mountain. So what does that remind you of? Look at this three-eye atlas. You know. Let me just type it here because it doesn't it remind you of something? Okay, it looks like a mountain, right? The form of it, like a part of a mountain, you know. So, you know, like you see in the movie Independence Day. Independence Day. So arrival, that big chariot arriving. Okay, look at this here. Okay, it's so big it looks like a mountain. That's how big the fathership will be. You know, everybody's gonna see it, man. So verse 7, 2 Ezra 13:7. But I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graven, and I could not. So he looked around and he's like, where does this mountain come from? But he could not see a region where the mountain was being digged out of, was being graven out of. Why? Because it was not the actual mountain, it's a chariot. So Yahushua is going to return with a big chariot, and this, you know, is just, you know, this 3-eye atlas might just be a prelude of what is really to come. Because we know before Yahushua returns, certain prophecies still have to happen. Okay, the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. Okay, World War III. Okay, before that, of course, Jacob's trouble. Okay, Leviathan is gonna come. Trials or tribulations. Hunger, famine. You know, like I said, famine, pestilences, earthquakes. You know, you name it, man. All the things have to happen before Yahushua return. And Yahushua is going to return in the midst of World War III. You know, so Yahushua is not returning right now. So this 3-eye atlas, it might be a chariot. It might be a sign of Yahweh Bashem Yashai to show the people like, hey, man, you know, a threat is coming from outer space. Okay, so people are going to be afraid. Okay, but we know that eventually Yahushua is going to return in a big fathership with the angels, you know, with the chariots, so-called Ufo'S, which are actually not Ufo'S, okay? They are chariots. So with that, hope it is edifying. And I want to give all praises and highest honor to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kadash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akiyam across this world, who are spreading his knowledge in truth and sincerity. And shalom to the few sincere brothers and sisters out there who are also listening, and may the election be upon your households. Khan shalom.